All right. I think we are live. Can someone confirm? Are we on the internet?
We're live.
All right. Great. Well, greetings and salutations, nerds, geeks, fans of D&D, friends, and mostly family. Welcome to another Ramshackle production, a stream that promises if you stick with us for an episode, you'll politely chuckle at least once. We do appreciate you all choosing to allow us to attempt to entertain you. You do have a choice, and your choice matters. If you like what you see, don't be afraid to follow, and even subscribe if you're so inclined. So we are going to be here playing a homebrew D&D 5th edition campaign. There are elements of this campaign that are seeded with content from Wizards of the Coast, who we do not represent in any way, shape, or form. Our campaign actually starts out in the Ghosts of the Saltmarsh arc, with minor changes made to make it fit into our campaign world. You'll see on the screen we have our players. As always, our team of stalwart companions stands ready to set forth and put their very best effort into what can be called nothing short of lame dad jokes. So why don't we go around and everyone introduce yourselves and share how long you've been playing D&D. Lee, kick us off.
So my name's Lee. I've been playing D&D, better part of 25 years. My brother got me into it, and on the parabola of life, I played and really enjoyed it as a kid, wanted to be able to procreate, and now that I have, I'm back into it, and am soaked in on the nerddom.
Yeah, check that box, and then moving away from the ladies. Love it.
That's
Dan,
right.
Dan, you.
I don't have any fun graphs. My name's Dan. I've been in the D&D probably 5 or 6 years. When I was young, I thought it was that nerdy card game that will get you beat up for being into it, and then realized later that that's Magic the Gathering and that I like both of them. And that's it for me.
Awesome. Aaron, how about you, buddy? Aaron, you're muted.
Name's muted, and it's my first time playing D. I'd played other tabletop games, but never D&D. I did play the Baldur's Gate and all those back in the day, though.
Yeah, really stoked to have you as part of the game, too. Mike.
Yeah.
My name is Mike. I have been playing D&D for about 7 years, give or take, including some DM duties and Star Wars RPG.
Nice, and we have one more player who's not with us yet. He might be joining here in a little while, and when he does, we will roll him into the story. Excuse me. We're aiming for this to be a weekly game. We know that that's an ambitious goal, so stay tuned to our Twitch channel and our Twitter feed for updates. But we hope to be doing this every Monday night around 8:30. If you are in chat, please feel free to engage with us when possible. If we see it pop up in chat, we'll definitely engage with you on stream. We love chatting with the people that are watching and getting involved in the game. If you have questions about the game or what's going on, feel free to ask. We have a few home rules we're going to go over very quickly. This is a homebrew campaign, as I said, and we do have some Wizards of the Coast content, but most of the world is content that I've created with some feedback from the players. They help create the world around them. We use the Nord Games critical success and critical failure decks, and so Lee, when we encounter a natural one for a critical failure, we'll be popping those cards for us, and if it's a critical success, he'll be popping those cards as well. We are playing with standard encumbrance, coins do weigh, and when it comes to critical attacks, so when you drop down below 0 hit points, you're supposed to go into death saves. That's always been a dilemma. Does the monster hit the character on the ground, or does the monster move to engage a live target? As the DM, you're always hesitant to hit the character on the ground because you don't want to kill them. So we've solved for that. So for critical wounds for a character laying on the ground, they have to do there's exhaustion saves or constitution saves they can do that introduce exhaustion, and a certain level of exhaustion they die. So that makes it a little bit more realistic in the monsters making that choice. And I, as a DM, can say, yeah, the orc would totally just start wailing on the guy on the ground and not have to feel bad necessarily about killing off a character. They get a few swings in before it actually starts causing them some serious damage. So that's it for our home rules. We will be using, XP-based advancement. So as characters complete encounters, they do quests, they are really good to the characters, or they kill stuff, we'll be granting them XP, and then XP leads to levels, which leads to more power, and more loots, which is the real reason that everyone's here. So with that, let's get into it. Welcome to the Age of Strife. Long ago, Egron was an ancient realm of expansive forests, untamed wilderness, and a single unified landmass called the Pangaea. The Pantheon populated the realm with beauty, a vast host of creatures, and the ancient races of elves, dwarves, and gnomes, compromising the goodly folk of the lands, and they made their homes in forest, mountain, and in between. The pantheon was a benign collection for the most part, although some skirted the line of neutrality very closely. Then the gods of good were torn asunder by a dark presence, and evil perversions of the ancient races were created. Born of this chaos were the races of Drow, Durger, and Svifberlin, which I always Snifliblin, which I always struggle with. Snurfneblin, all twisted and evil copies of their respective ancient race. The will of these newly created evil beings empowered the dark presence to separate into new entities within the pantheon, and thus the gods of evil were born. The Maelstrom was created by these evil gods, and the land was torn asunder. This is known as the Rift. The Pangaea was suddenly plunged under the waves, and countless living creatures ceased to exist. Along with the waves of water came the waves of evil creatures. The gods of good and evil seeded the realm with more races, including humans joining the goodly races, in their expanding war both in the realm and on the plains. The surface of Egron had changed forever. After a time, the various races of Egron learned a new way of life, and once again the populations of Egron thrived. As the people of Egron surged, so did the powers of the Pantheon. Once again, war broke out between the Pantheon as they fought amongst themselves for power. Destruction was wrought upon the lands of Egron as once again the Pantheon's war spilled over into the mortal realms. After a time, a stalemate was reached, as the gods had exerted much of their essence and power in their wars. In their weakened state, the gods' ability to influence the realms was relegated to the spells, visions, and minor miracles they could grant their worshippers. The elves were the first to taste war among the goodly races, and had been at war with their dark brethren the Drow since the Drow first surged forth from the Underdark. Their open warfare seemed as if it would never end, until a great victory was achieved by the elves. Meanwhile, as the evil races gained ground in the Underdark, the dwarves turned to the surface to expand their holdings. This, of course, led to the Dwarf-Elf War, which lasted generations. After a time, this war between elf and dwarf inevitably spilled over into the other goodly races, and thus the start of the 100-Year War. Elves and dwarves both allied with various other factions of each race, and it was this division that caused the war to drag on for so long. After nearly a century of warfare, the humans finally aligned with one another, and the Council of Kamenin was held. With all 10 major human kingdoms aligned, it compelled the goodly races to parley, and a great council was called. The leadership of the elf, dwarf, human, gnome, and halfling kingdoms would all meet in the island nation of the elf kingdom. The great council was held. Each leader in the retinue arrived for a different reason, but all came for the same purpose, to finally put an end to the war between the goodly races. As the assembled leadership from across the surface of Egron arrived, a great calamity struck, and the island was sundered. What little remains has only been seen from a great distance, and the island of the elves appears to be a land of waste and destruction. While little is known of what actually happened that day, no leader of the goodly races survived to tell the tale, and it was known to all as the Great Tragedy. Once again, evil swarmed forth from the Maelstrom. Rudderless, the kingdoms of all goodly races began engaged in their war efforts against one another with a renewed vigor. Kingdom against kingdom, elven enclave versus human kingdom and dwarven hold. Alliances formed, crumbled, and reformed, with no one sure who to trust. As to be expected, chaos begets chaos, and as the lines between sides became less and less clear, into the void stepped those willing to take advantage of the situation. After nearly 20 years of this way of life, a cold war has settled in many areas, if only because of the exhaustion felt by all. Evil creatures run rampant across the land as the bastions of civilization recede and defend their own. The light fades from the world, and from all sides the darkness encroaches. Now is the age of strife, and this is where our story begins. Evening, Saints' Day, the 29th of New Sun, 18 years after tragedy. Rays of orange and pink fill the sky as the last sliver of the sun can be seen on the distant horizon. The cool, dry, early evening air causes the furled sails to gently ripple in their binds. Two Tritons and a Dragonborn stand facing each other on the main deck of the sailing ship Cowabunga. Smells of salt water, wet wood, rusted metal hemp rope, and the strong, smoky presence of creosote. Tritons, Dan and Mike, would you please describe your characters?
Yeah. So, my name is Nimbus Fulgorath. I come from the enclave of Fulgor. The way that Triton society works is we are born in large swaths, and so we consider like all of our brethren that are born in like in the same breeding pool to be we're related, even though we're not related directly. So our characters share the same last name because we're from the same enclave. Nimbus is relatively thin of frame as far as he's not very bulky. Tritons are only about 5 feet tall, so he's a little bit tall for a Triton. He's like 5'2". And he is a cleric, so he's wearing what most folks would recognize as looking like chainmail, sort of. in terms of like how thick and heavy it is, but it's made from coral and shells and bones and things of that nature. And he carries a mace and has a shield made of what looks similar to a turtle shell, but it's not quite a turtle. It's not a creature shell that most folks of the material plane would recognize, given that he's from the realm of water.
Nice. And Mike? Or Maris Fulgarath?
Hello, my name is Maris. As you can tell by my aquatic exterior, I am a Triton. I hail from the school of Fulgarath, as does my partner over here. Let's see. So Maris, obviously has a very exquisite, ridiculous accent, but that's mostly due to him being a diplomat. So he's got like red silky robes, so they're sort of like regal. But basically, he came to this land as a junior ambassador, if you will. So very plain looking as far as, no accessories, because I'm a monk, so there's not really a whole lot. But the sleeves go down all the way to the wrists, and so it can either give you a handshake or like quickly flip out a dagger, because that's the nature of diplomacy in Fulgarath.
Nice. Awesome. Standing before you is Captain Michelangelo, who has been your ship's captain for the last month. A dragonborn that stands well over 6 foot tall. He is well adorned in silks and leather, with a yellow headscarf wrapped around his head. 2 pairs of belaying pins connected by a short chain are looped over his large leather belt. Welcome to Saltmarsh, which as you can see is a nondescript fishing village. It sits tucked away on the south butt of the Kingdom of Honan. Honan used to be hot shit with its knights and cavalry. For years it pushed to the north into the forest and hills of the Ironwood, to the mountains to the east on the borders of the Empire, the Venosea, and to the west towards the lakes of Lakeland. Lakeland. Like, why not Lake Place? All that fighting way far away totally allowed piracy and banditry to flourish. Right after the Great Tragedy, the pirates jacked with ships off Saltmarsh and got strong enough to create their own place down south, known as the Hold of the Sea Princes. Totally gnarly place. The Sea Princes raiding ships pillaged all across the coast for more slaves to support the growth, and Saltmarsh was totally bummed out, like super heavily. People are still bummed about those times, and pirates are totes not welcome. Eventually, all that fighting up north led to Honan getting their butts kicked. The dude in charge, King Kimberto Scototi, led to the south and saw unchecked banditry and a rising pirate nation. The crown struck peace treaties with Lakeland and Venosea to the west and to the east, raised the navy, shell-shocked those pirates, but they are still out there. Saltmarsh, remote though it may be from the center of power in Honan, is entering a new phase of its life as it reacts to the king's plans. The crown's agents want to expand the village's port and make it a prime location for trade with the world beyond, my place. Some of the locals aren't too keen on this, and I hear tell a trade with the pirates occurring. That's not cool. And another recent development, of banded dwarves, I hear they're here. They bear a totally gnarly letter from the king and have arrived and begun to excavate the hills and seaside cliffs near town looking for dope metals. While you two don't look the type to work in a mine, it could lead to some work more suited to you. Oh yeah, which I only mention because I can't take you any further than this. Unfortunately, I got a large manifest to retrieve and set out first thing in the morning. I know you dudes don't have any coin, so here's a few coins to get you going. Dan, if you would reach into your top right desk drawer, you will find a small gray sack.
What?
Within this gray sack, you will find...
Oh, yeah.
Gold coins.
That really happened. That's amazing. Wow. How much did you pay Mandy to do that? I heard her yell something from the other side.
So you have the coins listed on your character sheet. You have 11 gold coins for you. And Mike, he gives you a sack. Unfortunately, Emily had just left your place, and I missed her slightly. So she was unable to fulfill that for me as well. But you have 10 gold and 6 silver. So as
that was dope.
That was awesome.
I was like, what?
As he hands you the 2 sacks, he says, if I were you, I'd head over to the Wicker Goat and get a meal and room for the night. It sits just on the other side of the Sharkfin Bridge to the south, and he points off to the southwest. Best of luck to you. Hey, and if you make your way to the waters of Dolande, you might run into my brothers, Raphael, Leonardo, or Donatello. they're also ship's captains, and if you tell them Splinter sent you, they'll show you some kindness.
Well, merci beaucoup, monsieur. We owe you a great gratitude. Perhaps we shall make our way to this pub, as you say, and have ourselves a warm meal.
Yeah, they totally got good food.
Nimbus will thank him for the passage, and let him know. Captain, please let us know. You're gonna make me French. Let us know if send word if you hear of any other of our kind, the Tritons. If you come across more of our brothers in your travels, to please let them know that we are here in Saltmarsh, as we are looking to get the band back together again. Like you have been separated from your brothers, we too need to be reunited with the party that we came through the rift with, and we have been scattered to the seas, as they say. So please, if you meet any others, let them know.
Bossa Nova, bro. I got you covered, man. And with that, he kind of bebops back to his ship. Hey, yo, dude, tighten that rope down. Hey, get that crate off of that thing over there, man. Man, these guys. And he just goes into like directing his ship and stuff. So
how steady is the boat rocking right now? Is it rocking pretty steady?
It's well, he's got a bit of a bebop in his step as his ship is rock steady him around. Yes. With that being said, you guys are at the town of Saltmarsh, which I've brought up on the screen, and you have docked here, where I just marked, and he's pointed off in this direction to the Wicker Goat, and that's it to the southwest. The sun is starting to come down. It's getting to be, as the last sliver was going down as you were pulling into shore. It's quickly going below the horizon, and darkness is setting in. What do you want to do?
Can we see the tavern from where we're at, or is it like tucked away?
Yeah, so he pointed in the direction. You can see a road going to the west, and then there's a bridge, which he called the Sharkfin Bridge. You can see structures along the bridge and whatnot, and then just beyond that, you see another road heading out to the west, and there's pockets of light. So like around each building, there's a little well-lit area. The paths themselves aren't lit, but you can see pockets of light along the path towards the southwest.
Perhaps we make our way through town and cross this bridge, and just take a note of where we might want to do some shopping in the morning.
I concur. I think we want to bed down for the night, and then we are going to want to investigate to see if any of our Triton brothers have also taken the opportunity to work in the mines. It sounds like refugees and wayward travelers might find a way to, should they find themselves ashore here, make some easy coin doing manual labor. And I could see how if you want to travel in this land, you need some of their currency. And so I can imagine if I were not with you and I found opportunity, I may seek this out. So let's rest down, and maybe we can see if they have met anybody like us before.
Evidently, we need more of these shiny coins, so perhaps the mine is the place to get some.
All right. So you guys make your way away from the docks, and there's a decent bit of trout. People are wrapping up their business for the evening. Heading back home. It's kind of dimly lit, so no one's really paying you much attention. You seem to be dressed and adorned like others that are traveling the streets. As you cross over the bridge, little happens. A small boy holding his father's hand, who clearly is a fisherman. You can tell by the pail of fish in his right hand. The boy points at you and starts to whisper something to his dad. Is "Shut up, boy!" and tugs his hand, and they keep on walking. As you make your way to the Wicker Goat, you pass a collection of dimly lit buildings. You can see the well-lit exterior of the Wicker Goat a couple hundred feet along the road to the southwest. As you pass into the darkened area between the islands of light, you see a large bearded man on the road a short distance in front of you.
What do you do here? What are you? What?
he peers in close, and you can see that he's kind of wobbly, wavy a little bit, and not really he doesn't seem to have full control of his faculties, if you will. Um, are you some kind of sahuge?
So in terms of like the size of this man, is he like the largest that we've seen? So there was the Dragonborn pirate, Captain Michelangelo, and then he had his crew, presumably of humans. How big is this guy?
He's probably about 6'8", probably pushing 300 pounds. He's a large man.
Okay, so Nimbus like hefts his shield and puts it in front of him and goes, "Oh my goodness, it is a octopus from the sea turned into man form. How does man get so large?"
You make fun of my size. What? Ah! And with that, he pulls a cudgel out of his belt, raises it in the air threateningly, and he begins to make his way towards you. I need you two to roll for initiative.
Yeah, there you go, baby.
Initiation. Oh, nice.
I don't know what your modifier is. So you have to tell me what your roll is.
22.
22 for Maris.
13.
13 for Nimbus. Thank you. And then we will roll for this guy. 19. All right. So we are in our first combat. I need Maris. What would you like to do?
As an incidental, I'll watch him kind of coming towards us with brandishing the cudgel and just be like, Monsieur, please, we are just but simple sea creatures. We mean you no harm, and like he's a couple feet taller than me because I'm just shorter than Nimbus, so I'm trying to like, hey man, calm down.
Yeah, make a persuasion check.
Okay, that is +3.
Hey, while he's getting that rolled, do you want to shift Maris and Warren's nameplates?
Or I can jump in and play his character.
What happened?
No.
Our nameplates are backwards in Twitch.
I rolled a 7.
Oh yeah, Aaron. Yeah, there you go.
You rolled a 7.
Nice.
So let's just do this. He kind of frosts at the mouth a little bit, and raises his weapon even more threateningly, and leans forward like he's gonna charge at you.
Okay. In that case, I will use my movement. Actually, I'm gonna stay where I'm at and just like not react, and just like arms folded.
Okay. All right. So
yeah.
that's your turn. Do you want to ready an action or anything of the sort?
Yeah, I guess I'll ready if he gets within melee range, I'll attack. But otherwise, I'm just gonna stay stoic.
Okay, cool. Moving on to the ruffian's turn, the bearded ruffian. The bearded ruffian is gonna "Does you done, you swamp people?" And he starts rushing in. So why can't I click on him? Oh, because I'm not on the DM screen. That's why. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And he dashes in with his cudgel, and he's kind of spit frothing in his mouth still, definitely winded, and he's standing there, and your reaction. Mike, roll an attack.
Okay.
Punch. Sorry, I was looking for my. Oh yeah.
Two attacks.
Damn. So it's a bonus action to attack when I use the attack action, but I'll take the first one since it's a nat 20 anyway.
Okay. So nat 20. This is going to be our first critical success.
Grabbing the cards.
I didn't expect
Wow.
it this early.
First attack.
First attack. So these cards come from Nord Games, and when someone gets critical, you pull from it. And so this will be a blunt damage on this, Lee, or melee if it's on there, just fist damage. And then Lee will pull the card and read it to us, and that's how we'll adjudicate the damage on this.
Alrighty, blunt damage. So this is, oh geez, we're starting out pretty heavy. It's a life-threatening classification.
Oh
so
shit!
Here's what the pieces look like. Something slipped. Maximum damage. The target's AC is reduced by 3d4 until the end of its next turn.
Okay.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that is a real good one. So we're gonna roll 3d4.
Roll it up.
So his 12 AC is now 1. He has an AC of 1. So as he runs up, he's got his cudgel in his hand, and he goes back to hit you in the face, and then Mike, you just like two-finger like death punch right into his throat, and he just and hit both of his hands. Cudgel's still lightly gripped, but he's holding onto his throat as he can barely breathe. What's your damage output?
That is 8 damage for the max.
8 damage.
All right. Actually, that would be 12.
12.
It's 2 fists plus the 4 for.
So 12 damage. That is a. Where did my pen go? I lost my dry erase pen.
We are doing our same normal group's house rule for critical damage as well.
Yep.
Right?
Max dice roll. Potential. Yep. So.
Yep.
Yeah, he is that one punch. You can see his eyes kind of bulging out of his head. Dan, you notice with your high passive perception, a drop of blood coming out of his left ear with that single punch. We'll progress to your turn, Nimbus. What is your action, sir?
So this poor guy just got like slobber knockered, like just destroyed,
JTFA.
right?
That's Jack the fuck ass.
Yeah.
I have a passive perception of 13. Am I aware of anybody else on this darkened part of the street presently?
You are not, and it's about it's a couple of 100 feet between the last set of buildings that had some light and the Wicker Goat, and there's no one in this stretch. It's kind of the only thing, the loudest noise you heard was this guy accosting you, and Mike's punch made no noise.
Okay, so Nimbus is gonna go. Sorry, where are we? Your name is Maris. Yeah, so he's gonna go. Maris, you are supposed to be the diplomat, and he's gonna make a grapple check. He's gonna grab this guy around the throat, put him in a headlock, kind of drag him off further into the darkness, and go. We cannot be seen murdering the locals as soon as we got here. So yeah, I'm gonna choke him and drag him off to the side, and hopefully leave him non-fatally unconscious on the side of the road.
Okay, so this will be a contested strength check for grapple. So I need you to roll a d20 and add your strength modifier.
Okay, my strength modifier will
We're
be
here for
plus
30.
2. Ooh, this is not looking good. Okay.
Wow.
Ah.
That's okay.
So he is grabbing his throat really hard, and as you go to put your arm around him, I mean, he's a big guy, right? So the bulk of his arms and the cudgel in his hands up there, and you can't get a firm grip around him. So you kind of
Well, 6'8" and I'm 5 feet tall. I feel fine about not.
Yeah. So you're trying to go up and try to grapple him, and you unfortunately you're just unable to connect all the way around, and he slips out of your grasp.
Yep. The grapple is an attack action.
That's
right?
an attack action. It's an action.
Okay,
yes.
so that I think is that's all he's got.
Okay. We'll go into round 2 then. Top of the order, Maris. You see your Triton friend go up and try to hug him. You're not really sure. Your actions, please.
Seeing him trying to restrain him, I'll move to do the same. So I'll just try and grapple him as well, and just try to like disarm him if I can.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like incidental, Nimbus is kind of like, stop hitting him. We have to just we need to end this conflict and get away from this oaf.
All right. So there'll be a contested strength check with you as well, Mike. So roll a d20 and add your strength modifier, please.
I will grab his wrists. Oh, pretty good.
Do you have a plus 6?
No.
Okay, so this guy's really big, and you go up to try to grapple him, and a similar thing happens, except it's on his other side now, and he just kind of shakes you
We're
off,
on each of his legs.
tossing him about. So we go to the bearded ruffian. The bearded ruffian with a, you try to hug me, and he takes his cudgel and he swings down at Maris and tries to hit him, the guy that almost knocked him out with a single punch. And that's a 10 plus 3 is a 13. What's your AC?
15.
So that miss, he comes in to swing with his cudgel, and you see it coming, and you hold up your hand and kind of deflect it. So the cudgel hits your arm, but you don't take any damage from it because you've learned how to absorb blows and sort of use the attacker's momentum against them. So that's his turn. On to you, Nimbus.
So Nimbus, having seen this guy, finally take like a big scary swing at my bro here, he is gonna take his warhammer off of his belt and just kind of grab him by the back of his tunic and try and kind of knock him on the head. You know what I mean? He's gonna like blackjack him type deal.
Yep.
Definitely trying to be non-fatal, not trying to brain.
Sub-dual damage. Understood. Yep. So make an attack roll.
Okay, so
Remember,
his attack bonus is +4 to hit.
Here comes a crit.
Yeah, he's an AC 1, so yeah.
Yay! 12 to hit.
You hit soundly.
Okay.
You pull your warhammer off, and you're just kind of lightly gripping it in your hand, like sizing him up, and then whack!
And that does 5 damage.
And he collapses to the ground, and when he hits, it's a as he hits. And we are
Victory pose.
no longer in initiative. What are your actions,
Nimbus
gentlemen?
is going to take his cudgel, which no doubt is just a crude piece of like driftwood type deal, right?
Yeah, so it's like a belaying pin, but clearly it's larger than that. So it looks more like something he ripped off of like a very large table, and did some shitty whittling on, and just kind of has it on his belt. Well,
Okay,
it would be on his belt, but it's on the ground now.
Yeah, so I'm going to take that and go, these crude instruments from these barbarians, and he's going to throw it into the night so that this guy can't have it anymore, and then go...
Do me a quick favor, make a quick dexterity check on that, and then add
Dex check.
roll a 20 and add your dex modifier.
Okay. So his dex is +1. So there's that.
Cudgel trapped.
3.
So you try to throw it over your shoulder and get it into the bushes, the grass behind you, but that's kind of a rise, and so it hits the dirt a couple of feet short of the grass and tumbles back down into the road next to your feet.
Sure. That's fine. I'm going to kick it away. He's just basically trying to get it so that when this guy opens his eyes and sits up, I don't want him to have his hand on
Right
the weapon
next to it. Yep,
immediately.
understood.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's like if you punched a guy out who's holding a knife, you might kick it aside. That's all he's doing.
Yep.
And then go, Maris, help me drag this buffoon over out of sight.
I'll grab a arm or a leg or whatever, and we'll...
Try and haul this 6'8".
Cool.
Yeah.
Give me an advantage stealth check, if you would, one of you. I don't care who.
I think that's probably you. No.
I'm actually quite stealthy.
Okay, that's you.
Let's see. So I could do...
Do it.
Or...
I actually kind of like the D20 dice roller. It seemed clunky at first, but it only takes a second to get used to.
Oh, and you said advantaged?
Yeah, so roll another
Yeah.
one. So 16.
16
and...
or
Alright,
17.
17.
Nice.
Okay. Yeah, you guys, you do what you think is a reasonably good job of hiding him in a little pile of bushes off to the side. And so yeah, he is absolutely hidden as far as you're concerned. So
Great.
On we go.
Maris, would it be wrong of us to see if this man has any valuables, or should we leave his belongings on his person? I am finding myself at a loss for what we as Tritons would consider appropriate in the land of these dry bipedal humanoids.
I would
Azure not gives this oaf another excuse to come find us, so perhaps we leave his buttons where they are and continue on.
Yes, I could not agree more, and kick dirt on him, and we'll walk off.
All right, so you both add 15 experience points to your character sheet at some point.
Oh.
Mike, give yourself an extra 2 experience points for staying true to your character. Okay, so as you guys continue down the road a little bit, from the outside, it looks welcoming, homely, and intimate. Hard wooden planks and thick hard wooden logs make up most of the building's outer structure. It's impossible to see through the small stained glass windows, but the warm light casts a welcoming glow from the inside. Opening the well-worn wooden door, you're greeted to an exceptionally clean common room. Sorry, I got to change the the sounds. Opening the wooden door, you're greeted to an exceptionally clean common room, well lit by an iron chandelier. 2 large tables flank a couple of smaller circular ones in the center of the room. 3 smaller tables line the walls to your left and right. A long bar with 8 empty bar stools is across the room from you. On your right, a staircase leads up into another well-lit area above. Standing with his back to you is a rotund, balding man with wispy, dark hair. He appears to be wiping at one of the 3 kegs lining the wall behind the bar. He hears the door open and turns. "Welcome to the Wicker Goat," the man says as he begins to turn, trailing off as he sees who has entered. As he turns, you see a cheerful, plump, but worn face. His large hands seem to tighten on the grip on his rag in his hand ever so slightly. You notice that, Dan, with your passive perception. You see his eyes quickly dart to the large sword hanging on the wall to the left of the bar, before focusing back on you two. Yes, as I was saying, welcome to the Wicker Goat. Come right in. Have a seat wherever you like. We have closed the kitchen for the night, but we have plenty to drink. What'll it be? Yellow-toothed, raggedly dressed, and bald man. Oh, nope, sorry, go ahead.
Nimbus will ask, do you have any water, sir?
I would normally respond, "Do I look like a fish?" But I think you might find that offensive, so I shan't say that. Yes, we do have water. Just a moment, and
I'll have 7 gallons, please.
he looks at. Are you serious?
He goes,
With
you're,
extra
you're
salt.
right. It's healthy to have plenty of water every day. I'll take 8.
That will take some time to gather for you, but I will have my kitchen. Scullery boy! You! Pod! Yes! Fill the buckets many times. This man, what? Sir, what manner of creature are you?
I am what is known as a Triton, my friend. We are a glorious race from the realm of water, and we have come to
So,
save...
my friend Tri-Tip here, get him some water. Yes, we'll get that right for you. And you, your friend in the robes, what can I get for you?
And Nimbus kind of like looks for anybody else who might be listening and goes, "Save you simple folk from the creatures that are plaguing your realm," and go walking off to like go give a sermon on.
The bar is actually completely empty. There's
It
no
doesn't
one in
matter.
it right now.
He's
Got
like literally like looking up the stairs and going, "The krakens that no doubt will bring doom." Like walking around looking for anybody who will listen.
Awesome. What would you like, sir, in the robes again?
Monsieur, would you have any wine, perhaps?
Any wine.
In fact, we do. We have the finest wines in all of Saltmarsh. We have, where's it at here? I have a nice huckleberry wine from the hills of the Dreadwood. It's not as ominous as it sounds. The berries are quite nice. And he pours a glass of the huckleberry dread for you. And offers it up. As he offers it up and hands it across the bar towards you, he'd be like, that'll be 1 silver piece. The water, 1 silver piece.
I'll pay that up.
Okay. So as he hands that out, you hear the door creak open, and a yellow-toothed, raggedly dressed, and bald man enters the inn. He looks shoulders slump, and he's disappointed at first, until his eyes focus on the two of you, and a small grin touches the corners of his mouth. You hear the innkeep go, "Oh, great. Carl Boyer is the name, the great hunter of Saltmarsh, and would you gentlemen mind if I join you to tell a tale about the time I was chased from the haunted house by a whole pack of ghosts? I'll 2 of the purple grape mashes, my friends here will be buying them for me, correct? Yes, all right. And he moves over to a table and come, let me tell you a tale.
Oh my friend. It seems you are a hunter in this area.
I've been known to poach about a bit.
What does this man look like?
He's bald. He is raggedly dressed. So clearly his pants are they're frayed at the bottom. His coat has one too many holes on it. The dirt on his fingernails make it look like he's wearing like black nail polish. Clearly not a well-off individual. Lycus, the wine, please. My new friends here will be buying while I regale them with a tale of the time that I went into the haunted house and was chased off by a whole pack of ghosts.
The man will be paying his own tab, but perhaps you could tell us more about this story.
How about this, my friend? You buy me a drink, I tell you the tale, and if it's not good enough, I will buy the next round, or you will buy it for me.
I think perhaps we should hear a tale first, and then decide if it's worth the ale. And if you have many tales, then we could be here all night.
We could be here all night, in fact. And then the barkeep looks over. Soon I'll be heading up to my room. Will the 2 of you require a room? Are you staying in town?
Yeah, Nimbus will let him know. Like, yes, my lord, we would.
Like, oh lord, even well, indeed, yes.
My sir, himself. my man folk person.
Clearly, you're not from around here. Gentle man, innkeep is fine. These are all good terms.
The men do seem gentle of this land. I agree. We would require a room. Yes.
Yes, sir. Clearly, that will be 5 silver for the night for the 2 of you.
I'll hand it over to him.
Okay, he takes the coins and puts it away. And Carl leans over and says, "That looks like quite the coin pouch. You sure you can't spare but a few bits for a tale? Clearly, you traveled men must want to hear of the area. You look like learned men. Did I tell you about the library that I saw in this house? There must have been 30 books, all manner of charts that made no sense to me. For a drink, an extra drink, I'll even tell you where the place is."
Have you heard anything about the Triton peoples? Perhaps we could trade a story. As we come from a very esteemed background.
He saddles up to the bar next to you, and you notice that your wine cup is in his hand actually now, and he's taking a sip of it. In fact, one of the books that I read was Tales of the Fulgore. Is the name? The title on the spot. I was running for my life. Didn't have a chance to grab. Perhaps I could tell you where it is for 2 drinks. And he sips your wine again.
Nimbus will come up and he'll put 2 silver down on the counter and slide them over to the bartender and be like, 2 ales for this unbathed, filthy
friend of ours,
filthy rapscallion. What do you know of Fulgore?
The barkeep leans in as you hand him. He says, "He seems crazy, but he's been telling this tale. There could be a measure of truth to it. Just don't let him milk you for everything. He's been milking this dwarf for days." And with that, we will fade to black as Carl regales you with tales of his adventures around Saltmarsh, the deer that he's caught, the ghosts that he's run from, the ruffians that he's seen as he hid in the bushes, the number of times he's visited the inn, and the many free drinks that he's got for his vast warehouse of knowledge about Saltmarsh and the area around. And with that, we will pass on to both of you. When discussing things about the Saltmarsh area, you guys will have a chance to recall something that Carl has said to you about the Saltmarsh region.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
that's cool.
That's dope. Nimbus makes a quick note right as we're screen wiping away. Dwarves can be milked? ? In his flora and fauna studies book that he's been keeping.
Which Carl then goes on to tell you about this farmer just outside of town. As you go to the east, he had these dwarf horses, and they had tiny little they didn't call them, they called them neeps instead of nipples because they were so small, and they would pull on the neeps, and you could these tiny horses. So anyways, we will screen wipe to the next morning. You guys get a room, and much later in the evening. It is pre-dawn, the last day of New Sun, 18 years after tragedy. 1 second. Let's start that over again. Sorry. Pre-dawn, last day, 30th of New Sun, 18 years after tragedy. Dirt from the road kicks up in small clouds from the stiff morning breeze as you look over your shoulder back at the mining camp you left a few minutes ago. You move with a quickened pace to escape the jeers and sideways glances of your fellow dwarves as you made your way out of camp towards Saltmarsh. Clearly you were out of place amongst this clan, but you had been working so hard. You had a good feeling about the summons from Monastrad Steelbreaker, the leader of this clan. It was strange that she had asked you to bring all of your belongings. You were sure it was because she was going to offer you quarters in the town proper. You'd been spending so much time there, and you'd made a couple of friends, one of whom was an aged poacher named Carl Boyer, who'd been spinning you tales of Saltmarsh and the surrounding area for weeks. The road from the mining camp to... Oh, sorry, before we do that, if you would, Warren, please describe your character.
Warren Forge Warren is a tiny little dwarf. He's pretty cute. He has chainmail and an axe, but most of his experience so far in life is nothing like that. He spends most of his time behind a forge, hitting mostly shit like pickaxes and mining accoutrements, as it were. Since we're doing the French thing.
Yes, the French thing.
I'm just glad that Mike set the pace so that I didn't have to figure out a character accent, because I didn't like the one I had, so now I can just
Pick up this
now try to control
outrageous accent.
just like all turtles are Cajun. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else to say about your character?
I mean, there's a lot of things, but I'd stick with that.
Okay, cool. The road from the mining camp to Saltmarsh wasn't in the greatest of repair, but it was said that Monastrad was planning to rebuild the road once the first few veins of the mine turned a profit. The two moons could still be seen faintly silhouetting your reflection in the early morning sky from a shallow pool on the side of the road. You'd wanted to set out a little early so that you could avoid as many dwarves as possible. Being a forge warden carried a certain stigma as a bad omen and not worth much, but you'd been working really hard over the last few weeks and thought perhaps you were making some progress. You were brought back to the moment from your thoughts when you hear a rustling to your right. And so we set the stage on a road, the two moons of Igron silhouette in the sky as they begin to go down as the sun comes up in the morning. The dew rests gently on the grass along the path to the left and right of this disrepaired road, and you hear a rustling from right about here.
Okay. Let's see. What do I have? Like, I have torches. Do I have a torch out?
I mean, you are a dwarf, so you can see you have
yeah.
dark vision. And it's the moon. It's two moons, so nighttime in Igron isn't very dark. It's not. I would say it's obscured. It's not pitch black because the moons always provide decent lighting.
Got it. So is there anything I can see about where that noise came from?
You can make a perception check. Roll a d20 and add your perception modifier to it, please.
Perception modifier.
Perception should be on the left-hand side of your character sheet. Yep.
Got it. So, no, ignore that. Wait, did I do that right? Oh, shit.
Yeah, that's a d20. And then
Okay, that was an 11 plus 1. So 12?
12. 12 is correct. So you see in the light these tiny little glowing orbs, which you perceive to be some sort of creature's eyes, and you see them as they shift here.
Got it. Can I get out my shield and am I wearing my armor?
Yeah, you are. You are wearing your armor. The road is well traveled between the mining camp and the town proper. But it isn't unheard of for people to be accosted by the occasional thug or villain. And we have had Devin join the stream. Devin, thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
Okay.
Coming in
You're
buttery
live.
smooth.
Buttery smooth.
Sweet.
Cool. So we will get to you in just a moment, Devin. Yeah. So you see
Okay.
those eyes as you pull out your shield. You make some noise, and in doing so, you see. Oh, I hate when that happens. Sorry. I'm getting faster at this. You see what appears to be a giant weasel looking at you, and he begins to charge. Roll for initiative, please, good sir.
Okay.
Don't let him squeeze your juice.
Is that a 20?
That is a D20, and you're going to add your
Okay.
initiative modifier to it.
Where is that?
It's
Oh,
at
plus
the
one.
top. Okay,
15.
15. And for the giant weasel,
With a first in D&D history, the dwarf was able to use his milk in order to domesticate the giant weasel.
I pull out a teat.
Isn't it a neat?
well, that's on the small dwarven horses
Sorry,
that he was
Dwarven
talking.
horses.
Yeah.
Little Sebastian.
So
You'll have to
Bye, bye, little weasel.
you rolled a
You'll
13.
have to milk me.
He rolled a 1. So Warren, you get to go first. What is your action, good sir?
I'm gonna pull out one of my throwing axes and just throw it at the fuck's face.
Okay. Okay. So it's a free action to pull the weapon, and then it's an attack action to throw the hand axe. So make an attack roll. It should be a D20 plus your modifier, which I believe is a +4 to hit.
Ooh, that looks good. Oh.
That's a 10 to hit. So as you pull your hand axe out, and it's fair to say that you've not been in combat in a while, and you fumble it, and when you pull it out, you throw it, and it strikes true, but it hits with the wooden part, and the weasel doesn't care for that, and he charges on his turn. So the weasel is going to move forward. Oh.
What does that sound like when the weasel charges? Thank you.
It's a good thing he didn't end up whacking him there, because otherwise he'd have to go through the campaign as the Moil.
I could just play it as a Jewish dwarf.
All right, so the weasel charges across, and he comes up and he takes a bite at your leg. So that's he is. So let's do. What's your armor class?
18?
So
Alright.
yeah, the weasel comes up and he lashes onto your leg, but you're wearing armor, and so his teeth just kind of clamp around the armor, and then they slip off as he pulls back, and he raises his little weasel hands, and you notice that this weasel, he's as he rears up, he has a blood all over his chest. He's wounded. So your turn. What is your action, sir?
I have food, right?
Yes, you should have some trail rations.
I'm about to domesticate this
But
weasel,
they
y'all.
would, I would point out that the trail rations would be in your bag, and just so
fuck.
think through that when you're trying to whatever you're gonna do. Just think through that.
I'm about to domesticate this weasel with my axe. Can I hit him in the face?
Yes, you sure can. That's going to be an attack roll. Roll the d20 and add your attack modifier as you try to domesticate this weasel with your axe. That's a
I
17.
don't know how Aaron has
that's a
never played
t-shirt.
D&D before. Yeah.
17 plus what?
It'll be your attack modifier. So under actions, click on attack. You'll see attacks. You have battle axe, hand axe, and unarmed strike.
Yeah.
Probably the.
It's plus
Oh,
four.
hit
column.
DC, yeah, +4, found it.
So that's a
Yeah.
21. That hits as you strike him. Roll your damage dice, and I believe for your battle axe, it's a 1d8.
Okay. Domesticate this!
So the weasel, as he rears back, and you're like, oh, he's bloody. And as he rears back, you mimic his motions with your shield, and you grab your axe. Domesticate! Wow! and you chop the weasel at an angle, and his top part slides off, and his bottom part just kind of quivers there for a second, and then it falls over. And you have defeated the weasel. So the
Hey,
weasel.
weasel's just sashimi.
The weasel is defeated. Good job there. Go ahead and write down 15 experience points for yourself as you've defeated the giant weasel.
Got it.
The fuck did I walk
Andrew
into?
Jackson.
Good to have you with us, Devin.
Yeah, welcome, Devin. So that, Aaron, your character continues through the rest of the journey, fairly unmolested. That the weasel fight was actually supposed to last for a few rounds, but you nailed it, so to speak. The road to Saltmarsh, it's in disrepair. You can see as you're progressing through areas that clearly you want to report to Manistrad as maybe places where they need to do some additional work, or a bulwark here, or maybe some flattening or some leveling here, or maybe a drainage ditch here. Like you're making these mental notes to tell her, so you can get, as clearly she's bringing you in for a promotion. You can bring some additional information so that she knows that she made the right choice in trusting you. As we make our way. You make your way into to Saltmarsh, and with that, we're going to screen wipe, and we are going to welcome Devin. Devin, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, I'm sorry I'm late.
It's okay. You get one, and you used it on the first session. So well done. Well done.
Well, that's what I wanted.
So Devin, real quick, because everyone else had done this off camera, but you have just joined us, so we'll quickly go over it. So your character has been on this ship. Just let me get to it. Sorry. 1 second. So this is both for we'll do Lee, since he was off camera right before we started, and then Devin. So Valkyrin. You're not sure why this journey felt so different. After your turtle friend had saved you from the torturous life you led on the Dirty Rose, you had been along most of the north and east shores of Nord. You had even made this run from Lakeland to Saltmarsh a few times before. However, Captain Ron uncharacteristically seemed to bounce with nervous energy anytime you made port for provisions or to unload some cargo after that stop in Lakeland. You spoke with your turtle friend about it more than once, but he cautioned you against rocking the boat and said you were just being paranoid. As the only actual Marine on the crew, it was your job to be paranoid. Besides, you didn't think you were, but you let it go for the most part, chalking it up to humans being humans. Now, as you walk off the gangplank behind Captain Ron and your turtle friend, you raise your eyebrows at the squad of Marines walking in formation behind the dockmaster towards your trio. Bones. Devin. Ever since you escaped the carnage of your mercenary company, being put to the sword, you had gone under the alias Bones. It irked you at times that you couldn't use your real name, but you knew that the bounty hunters in the guild would strike you down if they found you. The betrayal of your company still stung, and you thought back to the horrors that you saw that night so long ago. Captain Ron had offered you a job after you impressed him with your knowledge of sailing. Within the crew, you always stood apart, never wanting to get too close to anyone, not only because you were afraid of losing friends again, also because you didn't know who you could trust. When you saved the life of young Valkorin that night a while back, you found someone who clearly had horrors in his past. The two of you bonded, and you had become as close as brothers as a turtle and a sea elf could. Valkorin had spoken to you a few times during this leg of your journey about some bad feeling he was having. You lived with a bad feeling and told him to let it go. Now as you walk off the gangplank behind Captain Ron with Valkorin behind you, you slowly nod, thinking that maybe your friend was right, as a squad of Marines, walking in formation behind the dockmaster, approaches your trio. And let us get to the bustling port town. All right.
Hey, Captain, we got ourselves a squadron of landlubbers walking towards us.
Captain Ron looks at the two of you and gives a wink. Morning, last day, 30th of Newsun, 18 years after tragedy. After weeks at sea on a trade run that took you down the eastern edge of the continent of Nord, you arrive at the dock of Saltmarsh. A small-sized dock greets you, relatively empty of boats, likely due to the host of fishing vessels the Abendingo passed as it made its way into harbor. There's a Easter egg there for anyone that cares to dig into it. Two larger primary piers appear to be used to load and unload large ships, while a series of smaller ones likely normally accommodate humbler vessels. The emptiness of the berths stands in stark contrast to the level of activity along the docks themselves. A ship with the name Cowabunga beneath its rat-shaped masthead draws your eye as it pulls away from the berth. A large dragonborn wearing a yellow head wrap gives a nonchalant salute. Kind of like that. Your ship makes anchor and the crew scurries about completing their tasks. Captain Ron nods at the turtle and the sea elf to join him, as they always do, to exchange pleasantries with the dockmaster. Captain Ron is a human standing about 5'10" with an average build. Sorry, I gotta turn down the blacksmith and the wood. A little loud. Standing about 5'10" with an average build and has shoulder-length hair, beach blonde hair with a single braid hanging down on his right side. He has permanent 5 o'clock shadow, wears an eye patch, and is flamboyantly dressed. He wears a silk shirt with only the bottom button clasped, and red and black checkered pants that stop at his ankle. He wears no shoes. Characters, please describe yourself, Tortle and Sea Elf, or Sea Elf and Tortle.
Who's the sea elf?
I'm the sea elf. You want to go first?
Yeah. So I'm a turtle.
I'm sorry, Devin. Before you do that, tell us your name and how long you've been playing D&D.
My name's Devin. I've played twice, but like I almost died the first time.
That's how you fucking D&D, right?
Yeah, I literally almost died.
That's extreme.
That was years ago, so I haven't played in forever. So
Cool. Please describe your turtle.
I'm a turtle. I like turtles. So I'm just like
90 seconds it took.
4.5 foot tall, mean, scruffy looking turtle. I've been out in the seas for a long time. I got like leather bracers and leather, armor. I mean, because I guess turtles don't wear regular armor, so I have light leather type armor on me, and some sort of, what is that cloth over your dingus?
A loincloth.
I got a loincloth to hide my giant girthy
Dingus cloth,
penis, which isn't very big for compared to other, humans.
It's
Creep
the
turtle.
swirly
Turtle.
guy, if you're a turtle.
It's very okay. That's it. Besides my giant girthy turtle penis. I think I have like a 2-hand axe. I think that's my weapon.
Okay, all right. Valkorian, please describe your character.
My name's
We are mature, right? Am I supposed to be using my turtle voice?
We are mature. You should be using your turtle voice, but we are mature right now.
I'm a turtle. I don't fucking know. I gotta work on it.
All right, no worries.
My name's Valkorian. I'm a sea elf. Was rescued by a proper pirate by the name of Billy Bones. Was able to pull me from the seas and rescue me from my time on the Dirty Rose. We've taken a few prizes in our times together, so our friendship is quite meshed together. We currently, I would say, I'm pursuing ways in order to find my way back to the elemental plane of water, which is where sea elves come from. I keep my hair long and my beard long to hide my gills, which were disfigured whenever I was serving on the Dirty Rose. I tend to do the sneaking and killing of the officers of other ships whenever we encounter them. Sometimes I like to take in an opera. I'm what they might call a Renaissance man.
Awesome. And as you make the comment to Captain Ron about seeing the folks approaching on the dock, he looks at you with a wink. You assume it's a wink because he's wearing an eye patch, but the way he squints his face, you think it's a wink. Just remember what old Captain Ron does when the ship docks and the greedy rats swarm from the shore and the armed boots to the law march. Yeah, Captain Ron just looks that big old storm right square in the eye and he says, "Give me your best shot, pal. I can take it." A large human wearing chainmail with a sword at his hip and a tabard with the green reed of Saltmarsh upon it approaches. He is a large man and clearly has a few years on him, but still strikes an intimidating pose. Behind him is a group of 16 Marines wearing salt-stained leather armor with a mace at their hip. 2 of the Marines carry light crossbows loosely in their hands, nocked, but not loaded. Old Captain Ron doesn't know who you are or what you think I did, but I didn't do it. I am Meliander Fireborn, captain of the Guard of Saltmarsh, former knight of Honin. I assume that you are Captain Ron, owner and captain of the ship, the Abandingo? Everybody relax, I'm here. The captain bristles noticeably. By order of the king, I am to take you into custody, seize your ship, and release your crew. Hey, you wouldn't be trying to cheat Captain Ron there, would you, Swab? What's the charge? The captain pulls forth a scroll from his belt. Transporting goods stolen from the kingdom of Honan by the treacherous Lakeland city-states with the express intent to deliver those goods to the pirates of the Seahold. Men, put him into irons. The rest of you board the ship and let the crew know their services are no longer required. Give them a chance to grab their personal effects, but secure the captain's quarters and cargo hold. Captain Ron holds up his hands innocently. Nah, I didn't steal it, boss. I borrowed it. Sort of. The Marines began to execute the orders. The group of 16, move past you three standing on the docks. What are your actions?
I'm gonna take a step forward and very blatantly have my hand go to the hilt of my blade and say, "See here, we got a passel of you rapscallions. Go get a few more. Let's make this a fair fight."
All right, roll me an intimidation check, please, sir.
All right. Oh, there's some. Okay, there we go.
What if he needs Yolner? Like he's gonna need them, with his thumbs.
Or like a cat.
All right, there we go.
Oh, fuck.
That's a 21.
So Iliander looks at you. Young elf, I can appreciate you trying to stand up for your captain, but this man is a criminal. He is a pirate, and we shall continue with our orders from the king. Watch your tongue, or you'll end up in chains as well. Go ahead.
When I take something from a man, his ship, his money, his life, I don't hide behind clerks and other men to do the bidding. I don't hide behind the law. I don't hide behind anything. I look him in the eye, and I'll give him every chance to deny me. Are you going to deny me? I'm denying you.
With that persuasion roll.
Persuasion, okay?
No, I'm saying with that persuasion roll.
Oh.
I'm thinking through it. Look, I've no quarrel with you or the crew. The captain's the one who's broke the law. He's the one that needs to pay for this crime. As it stands, you are free to go about your way, but watch your tongue, sir, or you and I will have a quarrel that isn't related to the law. And Captain Ron steps up in front of you. Whoa! I'm a reasonable guy, but I've just experienced some very unreasonable things. Valkorian, I appreciate you standing up for me, but let me go and talk to the magistrate. I will handle this, and we will be out of here lickety-split, as it were. And he puts his hands out in front of him to be manacled.
Right. I take a step back, take my hand off the hilt.
So the Marines, two of the Marines lead the Captain Ron away, and Eliander watches him get walked away and then turns back around. I like the cut of your jib, man, young sir. You've got some backbone. You've done us well on the charge of the hill just north of the Brown River. I could have used you in my company then. What's your story then? I don't have a warrant for your arrests, but what are your names and what role did you play on this ship? What do you know about the cargo manifest?
I know it's all above water, and I know it's all above board. My name's Valkorian Underloth. I recently came into the charge of this captain, who has done nothing but honor maritime law. He's a proper captain, him.
He can have that conversation with the magistrate. That is not for me to enforce or to decide. I'm here, but to enforce the will of the king, King Scrothy. And you, Tortle, what is your story? What is your name?
I don't have much to say. I'm just hanging out here with my friend. I think he said everything that we needed to say.
Roll a deception check.
What dice am I using for that?
That is a D20, and you're going to add your deception modifier, which,
Okay.
according to your character sheet, is a +2.
Okay, let me see. Just so I can see that in the future. Deception. Huh. I got 10, and you
That's
said
12.
plus 2, 12.
Yep. Um, well, again, there is no quarrel with the crew. We are a maritime port. We welcome sailors and those of the naval skills. There's plenty of work to be had. Um, I would ask again, what role did you play on the ship, though? The two of you. What was your duty?
This here's the first mate of the ship, and I'm the quartermaster.
I'm not much for talking, but they call me Bones.
A proper Navy man's name. I see. It's a good name. It's a good name. Do both of you do me a favor and just roll me a general charisma check.
Okay.
What I'm assessing here is your poise, and then describe for me your poise at this point. Lee, you had said you take your hand off your weapon, but how are your characters poised in response to this large man standing in front of you?
Valkorian's more waiting for things to go down, not necessarily in an aggressive posture, but never is too many steps away from being able to grab his blade and take his rapier and do things that you do with rapiers, get pokey with it.
Yep.
He's interested in bard craft, so there's a little bit of a flair for the dramatic as he goes into one soliloquy to another. So I would say, not an aggressive stance, but one where he's getting natural movement of the hand, so in case it needs to bring a blade out, he's able to.
Okay. And Bones, describe for me your poise, your demeanor.
Yeah, Bones is standing behind Valkorian, just observing the situation. He trusts in he knows that he's one for words and can say what he needs to say. If he needs to step in, he will. But right now, he's got the two-handed axe that he has, but he's just leaning on it. He's not looking aggressive at all, because he carries it around with him everywhere.
Yeah. All right. So Lee, because of your you had sort of a slightly aggressive posture, I had increased the DC of your charisma roll. But as we can all see, you've rolled a natural 20 here. So we'll adjudicate that in just a moment. What are you doing with it, Devin? Where are your hands? Are they on your hips? Are they at your weapon?
It's two, just like this.
Just like this. Okay. Cool. All right. Roll me a charisma check, please.
God damn it.
So 10 plus 2 is 12.
12.
Yep.
Hey, but I haven't said shit.
Well, yeah, which is why your DC was lower than Lee's DC because of the way that you were poised. Well, what fair? What do you know about the cargo manifest? As quartermaster, had anything been run through you from the captain?
It's complete. I know that much about it, and it's right.
Again, a man of serious nature. I like this. Well, here's the deal. I'm going to keep an eye on you lot. I'm not asking you to leave town, but you've got the remainder of the day to find work or leave town, as I won't have the type that consorts with those that consort with pirates idling about my town.
You have nothing to worry about. That's what we came here for.
So, there are. What you're new to town? Have you been to Saltmarsh beyond the docks before?
I've made me a few runs coming through here. Mr. Bones speaks truly. We'll find work. Where are you taking our captain?
He will go to the town jail. The magistrate will arrive in 4 days' time from the county capital. At which point we will arraign him and at that point determine his fate. I do know that with the dwarf mines opening up, they are looking for some strong backs and those of steel nerve. And he kind of nods appreciatively at the elf, the rigid elf standing in front of him on the ladder, and on the former he kind of looks around at the well-built turtle with the tiny little turtle penis.
Whoa, you can't see it.
That's why he knows it's a tiny little turtle penis. No bulge.
Oh, it's under a clock
yeah, yeah. Uh,
Come on, it's a good size.
for a turtle.
Like a scared turtle.
so, Monastrad Steelbreaker is made residence at the Wicked Goat, and I know she's looking for some folk to do some work. So I would suggest there's a place to start to maybe find a job for the two of you. And with that, I hope not to see you without a job by the end of the day.
Yeah, you best be hoping not to be seeing me.
Excuse my friend here. I just wanted to ask one more time, though. What were the charges Captain Ron is being taken under? I completely.
Piracy.
Why did they take him? Piracy.
Yes, he has been known to be transporting goods from the corrupt sons of bitches from the north, Lakeland, enemies of late. We had made peace, but we feel that they've allied with the sea princes to this. This is none of your affair. I get on with myself sometimes. You could arrive in 4 days' time. He will be held. Trial will be held just outside of the prison, and the magistrate will have the details, the sealed documents from the king, at that point to share at the arraignment. So.
Well, there's nothing to worry about since we are good merchants.
Make a deception roll.
20 again?
Yeah, D20, and then plus your deception modifier, which is 2.
Goddamn motherfucker, guys, you're such a bitch.
I believe that's a 10.
Yeah, that's a 10.
Okay. Well, I can't speak for your character. I will say that we have nothing criminal against the crew. It's our agent has clearly identified the captain as trading and dealing with those sons of bitches from Lakeland. So with that, what? And he looks over your shoulder, and one of the Marines is on the deck of the ship. Captain, come look at this! And you look, and the voice, the person, it's a very large Marine, clearly over 7 foot tall. His armor's bursting at the seams, but the voice, the two of you are just shocked at the high-pitched, squeaky voice coming out of this man. Oh, that would be Tom, one of my men. I'll be right there, Tom. And you two, keep your noses clean. Head to the Wicked Goat. Find Monastrad, and I will check in later to make sure that you've been handled appropriately. And with that, he kind of shuffles past you. Valkorian, do you attempt a shoulder check or let him slide past?
No, I stand my ground.
Okay. Make a I don't know if you want to do intimidation or strength. Give me whichever one of those you want to do. If you want to be more physical or more like just presence with it.
I would actually like to give him leeway and then just kind of do a quick pat as he's going by to see if there's a coin purse I can take.
All right. Give me Devin. Are you doing anything as he moves through you?
Well, you said he's trying to bump into me?
He's kind of, so you're standing behind Valkorian, yeah. So he's kind of like not walking through you, but definitely walking close enough where it would be it would be very easy for you guys to touch if you moved slightly. Like he's just going right next to you, so essentially shoulder to shoulder.
Shoulder to shoulder? Yeah. I'm not gonna do anything at the moment. No.
All right, Lee, roll me a sleight of hand check, please, sir.
Make it count.
It's rolling the dice ...
Oh,
the
geez.
suspense is killing me. Ah!
Oh, do I need to do anything?
Got a 3.
A 3? Did roll 20 lock
plus...
up?
Roll 20 seems to lock up, but I see it in the chat.
Oh, are you not rolling 3D dice, Lee?
Oh, yeah. Oh. Lee, I'll chat you instructions on how to get to that.
Okay. So,
so that's 3 plus 6 is 9.
Okay. Yeah. So as you try to do, and you didn't say you were you weren't clear on if you were taking it, if you were just trying to see if there's a coin purse.
Yeah.
Okay, so as as he walks by, his arms close to him because he's intentionally not trying to shoulder bump you, but if you moved, you would shoulder bump him. You reach out and you actually, where his coin purse is, you kind of wrap your hand slightly around his hip, like you're going in for a butt pat almost. He quickly turns. What's this about?
And I'm gonna say, well, clearly, if you're coming into my space like this, you're offering for a dance, aren't you?
Give me a deception check, sir.
Alrighty.
Great.
And at any point, Devin, if you want to add to this or do anything, just chime in, buddy.
I'm gonna wait for the check.
Oh! Damn.
Now can I go?
Yeah.
It would be a good time, yeah.
Yeah. So what
Just dump him into the ocean.
Pay him no mind. He's funny. You can tell he says a lot of funny things. Let us get about our business. You get about yours. Let's get on with this.
All right. Roll me a persuasion check, please, Devin.
Might have saved him.
What's my persuasion?
According to what I see here, your persuasion is +4, so that puts you at a 15.
Ooh,
There you go.
pretty good.
Yep.
Might
Yep.
have saved him.
He did. This whole skill challenge, everything was going to be between DC 7 and DC 15, and based upon Lee's fumbling and attempt to rob/hug, and then clearly lying about it, Devin stepping in to ease. Look, I know it's a weird situation. You arrive on shore and we arrest your captain. I really want to say that I like you, and I don't want to cause you to put you in shackles, but please don't place your hands upon me without my permission. And to be quite frank, that's more Tom and Will's game.
He won't do it again.
The captain of my guards here on the docks. That was Tom with the voice, the large man.
I'm gonna blow a kiss at him and turn around and walk off.
Nice. Give me one last charisma check on that, please.
I mean, if it's persuasion, if I'm trying to actually bet him.
If that is what you're trying to do, then please.
It's not.
Okay.
It's actually sexually intimidating.
Ah, look at that.
And so with that, you see Eleander looks over his shoulder and you see him pull a small writing utensil out of his graphite stick out of his belt pouch and scribbles something on the scroll that he had and puts it into his pouch on his hip and looks at you, shakes his head and begins walking onto the deck of the Albendingo.
And I'm gonna lean over to Bones and say, "Oh, perhaps we should head down this Hall of Oats because I believe that kiss is on his list."
Valkorian, I think you should get your ass down the deck and tend to the crew like you're supposed to.
Right, Mr. Bones.
With that, you two have successfully avoided getting arrested. The skill encounter. Please give yourself 15 experience points apiece.
I need to get some poop deck. I'll be back.
Okay. While he's doing that,
Poop decks.
all right.
Description. I was looking at abilities, race. Okay, where do I give myself? Home.
On the top left, if you click your name and class under your name,
Okay,
then you can go to manage experience.
got it.
Then just he's pooping that deck. Woof.
Delicious.
The poop deck. Okay. I didn't ignore where the counters are on the map for now, if you will. I need to move them off. You can't see them.
I can see Valkorian's health bar heads up.
Yep, that's all good. I gotta fix some of that stuff, but for now,
Because I'm the epitome of health, motherfucker. Look how handsome I am.
No one's saying nothing.
Hey, nobody's arguing here, man.
okay. So it's now midday, last day, 30th of New Sun, 18 years after tragedy. As you make your way through town, there's heightened activity, both because it was an early end to the workday, because of the holiday, and because there had been a really good catch yesterday on Saints Day, and folks were able to cut the day a little short as they had met their quotas. As you... Oh, let me change this real quick. Sorry.
Oh, good burp.
Oh,
Yeah, that was that in the thing?
Yeah.
yeah.
That's great.
Sound effect.
The tavern itself is packed. Locals seem to be the primary clientele, eating their favorite supper of steamed fish and buckwheat biscuits. Several long tables are occupied by an equal mixture of guards and townsfolk. The other smaller tables are also occupied by people who seem to be enjoying themselves a hearty meal and some ale. An odd pair of sea elf and turtle sit at a table near the stairs, and close by is an even odder pair of Monastrad and Carl sitting at a table together. Even most of the stools at the bar are occupied. This is you, by the way. Sorry, when I didn't screen wipe there. Warren.
I got it.
You make your way to the empty chair with Monastrad and Carl. The dwarf woman looked to be carved from steel itself. She is as hard-tempered as she appeared to be. However, as you approach, she looked up from her company and smiled evilly at you. The yellow-toothed, raggedly dressed, and bald man shrugged sheepishly and gave his best, "I'm sorry," smiles. Well, looky here. If it isn't your old friend Warren Forge, Warren. I've been having the most delightful conversation with Carl here. Have a seat. Let's chat. Warren, I've been talking to Monastrad here about the haunted house I wandered into the back door where I started to descend the stairs and heard ghastly shrieks and piercing wails and ran. Frightened, you remember, I told you about it, where the back door is and the nearby well? I was just telling Monastrad about it and... I had asked you here today, as she holds up her hand to silence Carl. I'd ask you here today to send you on your way, to send you packing, that your services were no longer needed at the camp. Doing that would have caused me to lose some face among the gymfoots, so I was hesitant. As it turns out, I've come up with an idea that could help the both of us out. I'd like you to look into the house that old Carl has been telling you about. It's along the road that I'll be rebuilding soon, and I'd rather not have rumours of it causing us any trouble. The way I figure it, you go to this place, and I tell everyone at the camp that you've been chasing a drunkard's tail. Then getting rid of you won't really shine a bad light on me. Or, turns out there is a pack of scary ghosts, and they take care of you, and I don't have to worry about it. Either way, you're no longer my fucking problem and you're on your own.
Well, you've seen the way Kyle is. Why would you believe something that a man like that says about anything?
I don't have to believe it. I give you the task. You go look into it, and either you're an idiot, and I tell everyone at the camp you're an idiot, and I get rid of you, and it's simple. Or, as I said, you got killed by the pack of ghosts, eh, Carl? And she leans over and jostles him a little bit, and he shakes he's got this purple wine that he kind of spills on himself, and when it hits his clothes, it makes a little sound.
Jesus.
It's the purple grape mash. It's known to melt skin.
The hot face.
The hot face.
And I'll say it back because she and I figured out what's going. I figured out what's going on. Have I figured out this bullshit? Because she basically just told it to me. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, she did the
Okay.
evil villain Machiavellian, and here's what I'm gonna do: steepled hands type thing.
All right. All right, Lass. I'll tell you what. If we go in there and we come out and we find something, what do you give me?
Well, you look. There's the rumors about this house. The Carl's been spreading his nonsense to the dwarves that come in here. That's causing, there's some dwarves that are not necessarily scared, but definitely hesitant to start work on the road in between here and the camp. And if you handle it, I'll give you 100 gold pieces. In fact, the next two assholes that come down the stairs, whoever they may be, you take them with you. I'll make it 200 gold. And then with that, the two
That's
Tritons,
awesome.
yeah. Start
Fucking French asshole.
You're welcome.
coming.
What is this opportunity?
You two start coming down the stairs, and Carl's like, those are those fish fellas I was telling about the place last night. I bet they can help you. And as you two come, you guys see Carl waving his finger at you and beckoning you over, and this really mean-looking dwarf, hard chiseled features, short buzz cut red hair. The a beard kind of like mine, scraggly little tufts of hair coming off at various angles, and then you see this dwarf with this beautiful golden beard in braids. I mean, he definitely looks like a dwarf of some renown, but the way he's sort of sheepishly sitting in his chair, you're not really. It definitely seems like he's a lesser dwarf than the woman as you guys are coming downstairs.
So I'm gonna nod at the two coming down the stairs, like, kind of like away from making eye contact with them, but like, like, come on over.
So Nimbus and Maris, you see the very, again, well oiled, waxed dwarf beard, just the most beautiful hair you've ever seen. Being Tritons, you're not used to seeing facial hair. And he's beckoning you as Carl's pointing at you and clearly talking.
Pardonnez-moi, s'il vous plaît, what's an exquisite beard on the specimen?
No, take this. Nimbus walks up and takes a double handful of it and goes.
Warren, describe what your beard smells like, please.
Well, you like that lad this morning? I used cedar oil on it, and there's hundreds of kegs of that if you come with me on this mission I've been given by my bitch of a boss.
and Monastrad slaps her hand on the table. You've got some steel in your bones after all, don't you, Forgeborn? How about it, you two? What the fuck are you?
And so Nimbus will like he hasn't missed a beat, like he's been talking since last night. Goes, well, he's still giving a sermon about Krakens. So he'll to anybody who's listening, he's gonna start by responding to her and go, well, you see, madam, that the Tritons are the keepers of the blah blah blah. Like he's gonna start like rambling about how we are like the champions of the deep, and that you should all be thankful that we're here and everybody's gonna be safe from Krakens and sea grumpkins, and like starts naming all of these fictional sea creatures that people haven't heard of.
She lets you recite through all this, and the whole time she's like, oh yeah, that shaking her head, like totally like nodding at the right points and taking a sip of her ale, and patting Carl on the back. We got ourselves a couple of fucking champions here to help you on your journey. And you can roll an insight check for me, Dan, if you don't mind.
Okay. So
I'm flexing every time he says Triton.
Who the fuck is Dan?
Oh, sorry,
Yep.
Nimbus. Nimbus.
Oh,
Nimbus.
okay.
My bad. Yeah, Nimbus. Roll me a insight check.
Oh, 7.
Oh.
Clearly, this dwarven woman is very impressed with the champions of Triton. Mike, with your passive, I believe you have. Let's see, to just make sure that I was right on that. With your
I have 11 for perception.
Your insight's the same as Dan's though. So make me roll me an insight check, please.
Let me check what my bonus is here real quick. +3. Come on.
18.
Okay. Yeah. So you can as she starts these fucking champions are here to help you on your quest, and you can tell as she's saying that you can, Mike, that she's being very sarcastic. But you kind of see Nimbus, who fully believes, kind of puffing his chest out like, yes, these humans, they understand the prowess of the Tritons, and me and Carl hearing this, yeah, there were definitely books about sea creatures, and I am sure. I am absolutely sure that there is something in there that could lead you to find this creation, and you could destroy this creation. Yep, absolutely. And he leans over, and you notice that he now has Menestrad's drink in his hand, and he's drinking her ale. She backhands him, and ale goes flying over out of his hand over his shoulder. Lee and Valkorion and Bones, as you're sitting at your table at the Wicker Goat, as you made your way into the inn, hadn't really looked for anyone yet. A mug comes flying onto your table, and sprays of ale kind of dash out and get on the two of you just a little bit, not a lot. Most of it was already drunk by Carl as it lands on you, and you see it came from this table behind you that has an odd array. Two dwarfs, a couple of Lee you would recognize as Tritons, as the turtle would as well. Valkorion and Bones both would recognize what Tritons were. Two Tritons and a Weasley, dirty, disgusting human. Valkorion you might consider a friend, and Bones you might consider someone that you couldn't really trust. So this happens. What are your actions?
Oi, Ministrod, I'm not bringing you in any more cases of that Zinfus fairy fire if you don't keep your fucking patrons under control. And I'm gonna hold my cloak up and say, you see, I don't have a polka dot on here, and yet it's sprayed all over. And then I'm going to give it a shake, and as my bonus action, turn it into a very silky-looking robe, and then go back down to my drink.
Oh, all right.
Use my action to marvel.
That's right.
Okay, Monastrad looks at you. Oh, yeah, you must be from Captain Roland's ship. He's always bringing us the Zinfus. That's some good shit right there. You've never been able to afford that, have you, Carl? And she raises her hand. A round of Zinfus. Carl's gonna pay for it. And you can see the barkeep behind the bar over to your corner there, just kind of shakes his head and goes about doing what he's doing. And he clearly he knows that Monastrad isn't ordering rounds for Carl to pay, and goes about his business. Well, what are you two doing over there? Captain Ron in town. He's got some more cargo for us.
Oi, he's in what you might call the pokey. They ended up accosting him as we were coming off on the dry dock.
Got
accusing him of piracies of all things.
I don't want to be on the wrong side of the king. We've got a good deal, so that's a damn shame. Luckily, I've got myself a bottle of that Zinfus. I'm back at the mining camp. So, are the two of you looking for work then? Is that since he's in the brig? You got nothing to do?
We're looking for work, but you're enjoying that Zinfus. Perhaps you flex some of them able muscles and that well-toned arm of yours, and see what you can do about getting our captain free.
Roll a persuasion check.
Meanwhile, I want to get more details out of the dwarf about this.
That's an 11.
Okay, 11. And let me roll something on this side real quick.
Fuck you.
Damn.
God damn.
Kind of like seeing his rolls, actually.
Yeah, I have done some rolls on this side that I didn't share with you guys, but the ones that I think I don't want, like I'm guessing which way it's gonna go, and we'll play it out. Look, I'm all for a good bottle of the stuff, of the hooch, but I'm not putting my neck on the line for someone I've just met, you namely. And all I know of Captain Ron is that he's brought some good product into shore. That doesn't mean that he has anything to do with it. He's just a purveyor of goods. I'll tell you what though, I'll make you a deal. The two of you, you, I'm assuming that friend over there, the turtle, excuse me, he's with you.
Aye, the tripod comes with me.
She quizzically. Is it a tripod because of the size of his axe?
Sure.
Right.
All right.
It'll treat your axe wound quite well.
Inspiration point for you, Lee. Yeah.
That was real good.
You really get points for that?
Yeah. So inspiration points, just real quick. If you do something that's attuned with your character, it's a good storytelling point. It's something that
Or
adds
funny.
or funny. We'll hand out inspiration points. Lee's really
Right.
doubling down on his character, and there was an innuendo there. It was a double entendre, and
Oh no, I thought it was great. I didn't know if you were fucking around about that or not.
no. He gets an inspiration point, which essentially means that he can roll a check at it advantage later on if he so chooses.
Got it.
So, look, we all know that everyone needs a good axe in their gash from time to time, but I'm unfortunately not into the turtles. I like me Goliaths, if you know what I mean. Mostly.
Oh, I catch
She's-
what you're saying here.
She's talking about me, lad.
She looks over at you. Shut your face, Forge Warren. You're half useless and mostly dead.
What kind of employment are you talking about, lass?
Clearly the two of you don't know your way around a forge. You've got no scars on your arms, and you don't have any charcoal stains on your fingers. And she holds up her hands, and they're just clearly she's works with her hands, and I don't mean like a lady of the night works with her hands. She works with her hands in forges and crafting implements. There's scars and there's burn marks, and her fingers are. If you've ever looked at Sam Rockwell's fingers in movies, that's kind of what they look like. It's sort of bits missing and stuff. Clearly you don't know your way around the forge, but apparently I'm putting an adventuring crew together to go check out this haunted house of Carl's here. There's some books and treasure and potentially some ghosts, and if somehow you're able to go and clean this problem and come back and regale the tales of a cleaned haunted house on the road with the folks, the sailors and the folks along the docks, and ease my work as I try to find people to work on the road from here to the camp. I'll think about going to talk to Eleander about your captain.
Very well. I think I could be convinced of such an accord, assuming Mr. Bones here is savvy with us executing that. What's your thoughts, sir?
It sounds good to me, but I just want to know what kind of sway you would have on any of this. You're a barkeep.
Oh, my friend, you're clearly mistaken. The barkeep's over there, behind the bar. My name's Manastrad Steelbreaker. I run the dwarven mine just outside of town to the east. Sent here by the king. We've got a deal with my clan. We're going to mine the veins and try to turn a profit and create a trade road between here and Seaton to the east.
And that somehow gives you sway over whether our captain's a pirate or not?
What it could do is potentially help in the punishing phase of the sentencing. So piracy isn't normally punished by death. It's typically hard labor, and if you're lucky, your captain will be assigned to hard labor on my work crew to repair the road. In which case, maybe instead of repairing the road, he repairs my stock of the old Zinfus.
I just want to know whether there's anything else involved in this for us other than just your word.
My word is steel, and she hits the table, and
With what?
with her fist,
Oh.
With her tribe.
and with her fist, she punches down on the table, and it makes a resounding crack, and she leaves a palm-sized indention in the wood where she had smacked down her hand, and the table sort of concaves in where she had smacked down when she said, "My word is steel." And she looks at you. Now, your choice is pretty clear. I can help you with the captain. You can help me with the task that old Forge Warren is on, or you can make off with as you see fit.
If you have the sway that you say, I mean, checking in on some spooks will be fine with me.
And Carl sitting next to her, oh yeah, Manastrad, she is like the number well, however many this is in town, she's that high on the list.
All right. Menstruations aside, Carl, we're not going to a place that belongs to your son because I got quite the tummy ache at a Carl's Jr.'s place.
I have hunted weasels. I've hunted badger. I once shot at a deer, but I've never sold food. And as you look up, you notice that he's actually 3 chairs over. There's a farmer who's talking to some fisherman across at another table, and Carl is like gently pulling his ale mug over to him to begin to take it.
Nimbus goes over to Bones, the turtle, and goes,
I don't know about this strong dwarven woman here, lad, but that man over there is clearly a scholar, and I trust him, and he clearly is a learned man. I've been learning the ways of these dry, bipedal folk, and that man Carl, I think that he's a wise one, and we can take his advice.
Trishon speaks the truth. I know many a thing about Saltmarsh and the area, and Piracy, and Zeinfeiss, and yeah, excuse me, pardon me. So meanwhile, while all this is happening, and Warren and Maris was engaging Warren in conversation while this was kind of going on around you. Role play that for me, if you would, Maris, as you were engaging Warren.
So what is this job opportunity?
I'm gonna say a chance to embarrass my boss for making a dumb decision.
Maris.
Sorry, I didn't. I
A
lost you.
chance. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
I got
Can you hear me now?
You cut out a little bit.
Oh, okay, got it. A chance to embarrass my boss for making a bad decision.
That seems like a good enough reason, but what is the chances of compensation?
Carl is an idiot. I love him. Oh, I don't know why I became Russian. Carl is an idiot. Worst case scenario, you spend the night with a dwarf in a dark house.
And Bones, you overhear that sentence.
What could be worse?
So wait, we're all going to this haunted house. Like, this is what's happening right now.
No. Carl is an idiot. You get him drunk, he tells you funny stories because God knows there's nothing else to do in this town.
Okay, so we go to this haunted house. We check it out. There's nothing there. We come back. This dwarf asshole gets our captain out of the brig. We're good to go.
Sure, that's what she said. Yeah, that's what we're doing. Yeah.
Oi, wee man. So you're telling me we're getting paid gold to go have a fucking sleepover at some abandoned house?
I'm gonna look at Monastrad and say, that's what the law said, isn't it?
and she chuckles. She says, "My word is my bond. If you lot are able to go to the house and make sure that there's no ghosts about, and you can come back and you can spread the... Carl's been telling this tale for months, and if you can come back and prove that there's nothing wrong with the house, I can start my road crew up and improve the travel between here and the camp, and then maybe we can get that vein to turn a profit quicker than otherwise."
And I'm gonna interject at the end of that with, and there is no dwarf who would dare lie to anyone, would they? Just like put her on the spot, attempt to put her on the spot, like, like test her honor, so to speak.
Yep. Make a.
I like it.
Make an insight check. There.
Insight. I rolled D20. I don't know if that's right.
It is. And for you, it'll be.
It's 15.
15. It's actually 16. You're +3 on insight.
Oh yeah, I'm bad at math.
Yeah, no worries. So she leans in and she says, "No fucking steelbreaker would ever tell a lie to a fucking forge worn. You're lucky we took you in. Now go and do this fucking task for me. Get your ass back here so I can put you to fucking work on the road. Or maybe the ghost will see you off, eh?" And then, wait, where the fuck is Carl? And you notice he's like 4 tables over, sitting with some other people, and you hear him in the house, and there's ghosts, and then...
Nimbus to Maris says,
it'd be nice if we got any sort of compens for coming along, but for us, if he tells us true, there's a book of Fulgor in that house that I would be interested in reading. I say we help him.
So just to clarify, the Captain Ron also brought us in. Is that
No, you
correct?
guys are brought in by Captain Michelangelo on the
Who
Cowabunga.
That's
doesn't
right.
take
Okay.
us back?
Okay.
Yeah. The turtle and the sea elf, which there's a great story about how the turtle and the sea elf got in a race. I'll tell you later. But the turtle and the sea elf came in on the Albundingo with Captain Ron,
Okay.
which
Okay,
I think
got
is
you.
Spanish for tomato. Just
Captain Mikey dumped us just because he had too much stuff he was picking up and couldn't keep on more people. So he like dropped us off at this bay and picked up so much stuff that he can't have extra people.
You
just
guys were the
hanging around with
worthless
him.
sailors.
Yeah, well, we were picked up at sea after our friends were all scattered
Oh, okay.
scattered,
Ah,
literally swimming out in the ocean.
clearly,
after a 5-day
you
ride.
lot need to get to know each other. So I'm going to make my way out of here. Forgeworn, when you're back, you can find me here. Most days, and let me know what you find. And if I don't see you again, well, it wasn't nice knowing you. And she pushes her chair away and walks away from the table.
I'm gonna look a little glower. I don't have anything else to say to her at this point. I'll be back though.
Not a problem.
So we.
Bone says, "Can I do that?" Bone says to Valkorian, "It smells like rotten shark shit, but if we can help anything to help get the captain out, I think we should do it, especially if it's this easy. Unless like the dwarf comes with his dick out, and we gotta like. You don't think anybody's gonna try to do anything dirty to us?
Oh, you mean like rape you? Just
Like,
go back into your shell. You're fine. We're not gonna have another run-in like we did in Lakeview.
yeah, I keep it. I'm a little shell shocked from that time.
Very fair, very fair. I think the smell that you're inquiring about is what that man's dingus plate over there has. It's some combo they're always trying to sell, that just-in-time meat. It's already spoiled, they just won't admit it yet.
I was talking about the job, but okay.
Yeah,
We
fair.
call that no meat.
Yeah. And the innkeep hears this and he says, "Look, my name's Lancaster. It's not no meat. It's no meat is what it's called. It's roasted shellfish and whey cheese, and I make it into a stew-like substance. It's amazing. It comes with a tankard of bitter, and you can get the whole plate for 1 silver. Can I interest you in something?"
Wait, jeez.
Nope.
Pass.
I'm gonna advise that all you lads pass on that unless you want to spend the night on the shitter.
You watch it, Forge Warn.
Aggressive.
Monsieur Forgeborn, perhaps you join us in the private room and discuss this haunted house, how you say.
I don't know what you're getting at, lad, but I'm down for a private room.
All right, and so as we get close in on the 2-hour mark, welcome to the channel, D&D with Josh McGee. As we close in the 2-hour mark, the 5 of you, or sorry, the 6 of you, no, 5 of you, I would be 6. The 5 of you sit at the table and begin to share tales of your past. We can kick off next session with role playing that and what your characters will be sharing with each other. It's mid morning. On the 30th of New Sun, or midday, excuse me, and so you folks can think about what you want to do or how you want to interact with each other when we kick off next session. But I think at this point we are about 5 minutes shy of the 2-hour mark, so we're gonna wrap it up. So let's just recap what transpired this evening. On the night of the 29th, 2 Tritons arrived on a ship captained by Captain Michelangelo. The ship was the Cowabunga. They left the ship and made their way towards an inn after they were told they couldn't have passage any further than Saltmarsh. And we'll allow those characters to explain next session how they got on the ship or whatever they choose to share. Making their way towards the Wicker Goat, they were accosted by a bearded ruffian who they quickly dispatched and knocked him unconscious and hit him in the bushes. then went to the inn in the Wicker Goat and got a room and stayed the night, where they met Carl, and Carl regaled them with tales of the Saltmarsh area, giving them knowledge of the Saltmarsh area, or what they think at least is knowledge of the Saltmarsh area. Next morning, approaching from the camp to the east, the dwarven camp from mining camp from the east, Warren Forgeworn, a dwarf, begins to make his way as he was summoned by Monostrad Steelbreaker, and is accosted by a wounded, injured giant weasel, who he clearly domesticated with the blade of his axe. And then definitely. Yeah, the ship is the Cowabunga, captained by Michelangelo. Yeah, dude, totally. And so he makes his way into town. Later on that morning, because it was pre-dawn, we had a turtle and a sea elf who arrived by ship. It was the Albendingo, captained by Captain Ron. As they left the ship, Captain Ron was arrested for quote-unquote piracy or crimes against the kingdom by Eleander Fireborn, the captain of the guard of Saltmarsh. Through a series of skill checks, they were able to avoid getting arrested themselves and were challenged to find work before the end of the day, or they were going to be asked to leave town. And at that point, all the party is at the Wicker Goat, and they engage with Monostrad and Carl, and through a series of conversation and some pretty cool role-playing, well done everyone, the group decided to join forces and at least tentatively head out to this haunted house from Monostrad to potentially earn a gold purse of 150 gold, as well as assistance with getting Captain Ron out of the brig should they come back and help spread tales about how there's nothing wrong with the house, and they could begin work on the road.
Nice try, Stingy DM. Monostrad said 200 gold.
So it's funny. I want to show you this. I wrote down. No. I wrote down 200 gold, but then I thought, no, it was 100. It was 50 plus 100, but it was 100 plus 100, right?
Yeah.
So I'd scratched through 200 gold. So
it was 100 for him, and then she said, "I'll tell you what, I'll throw on another 100 if you take the next two idiots that walk downstairs."
The art of the deal.
Yeah.
Do we get any money? All we got was the offer that she goes and talks to.
I didn't
the
offer
party.
you anything.
Yeah.
I don't remember offering you a goddamn thing.
Shave that dwarf. Shave that dwarf.
We're just for a free night hanging out with a dwarf and a thing, and then she might talk to.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Kind of Scooby-Doo bullshit.
Yep. So when we start back next week,
Oh, I
Devin,
can't wait.
you can clearly talk to the dwarf and see if you can get some coin out of it or whatever. But at this point, that's what's on the table, and the party all overheard this conversation, so there's nothing unknown to anyone. And yeah, I think with that, we're gonna go ahead and wrap for the night. I want to thank everyone that came out. I think we peaked about 16 people watching, so that's pretty cool for our first session. Thanks to Dan, Lee, Aaron, Mike, and Devin for joining on this journey, and I look forward to playing through the Age of Strife with you guys. We'll be back next Monday. 8:30 Central sharp, close-ish sharp, slightly worn at 8:30, so somewhere between 8:30 and 8:35. Forge worn, yes. And then we'll be back on Wednesday, so 2 days from now, Wednesday, we're going to play on Thursday with our Star Wars Edge of the Empire campaign. So thanks again for coming out, and with that, we will end our live stream, so see y'all later. Thank you.